Hi, welcome back to my channel, where every week I summarize a book about parenting or self-development for you. Today, I will be discussing The Whole Brain Child, which is a book written by the same authors who wrote No Drama Discipline that I reviewed a few weeks ago. This book looks at the neuroscience behind a child's brain to understand why they act the way they do and how we can parent with the brain in mind, using everyday moments with our kids, the good ones, but especially the bad ones, as opportunities to nurture their developing mind and help them grow into the responsible, caring, and capable people we want them to be. The authors show us an image of life as if we are navigating on a canoe in the middle of a river. On one side, you have the bank of chaos, and on the other side, you have the bank of rigidity. And our goal is to remain in the middle, which is the river of well-being. The more integrated our kids are, the more they can remain in the river of well-being. And we can help them achieve that by helping all parts of their brain work together in a balanced and coordinated way, by integrating all parts of their brain. Integration takes a distinct part of our brain and helps them work together as a whole. It's similar to what happens in your body, where you have different organs that perform different jobs. When you have an integrated brain where all the parts work together, it results in improved decision-making, better control over body and emotions, fuller self-awareness, stronger relationships, and success in school. Let's take a look. As mentioned, your brain contains different parts. You have a left side that helps you think logically and organize thoughts into sentences, and a right side that helps you experience emotions and read nonverbal cues. You also have a reptile brain that allows you to act instinctually and make split-second survival decisions, and a mammal brain that leads you toward connection and relationships. One part of your brain is devoted to dealing with memory, another to making moral and ethical decisions. It's almost as if your brain has multiple personalities, some rational, some irrational, some reflective, some reactive. They each need to do their individual job while also working together as a whole. Integration is simply that, linking different elements together. We need to help our kids use all parts of their brain so they can live balanced, meaningful, and creative lives full of connected relationships. We want them to be horizontally integrated, so that their left brain logic can work well with their right brain emotion. But we also want them to be vertically integrated, so that the physically higher parts of their brain, which let them thoughtfully consider their actions, work well with the lower parts of their brain. When a fully functioning staircase is in place, the upper and lower parts of the brain are vertically integrated. That means that the upstairs can monitor the action of the downstairs and help calm the strong reactions, impulses, and emotions that originate there. But vertical integration works in the other direction too, with the downstairs brain and the body making important bottom-up contributions. After all, we don't want significant upstairs decisions being made in some sort of vacuum that's devoid of input from our emotions, our instincts, and our bodies. Instead, we need to consider our emotional and physical feelings, which originate downstairs, before using the upstairs to decide on a course of action. You may remember the concept of neuroplasticity that I mentioned when I did the video on No Drama Discipline. It's a fairly recent concept in neuroscience that has revolutionized the way we understand the brain. It tells us that yes, we are born with certain genes and personality traits, but our brain is moldable. It means that we have the ability to change our brain based on our everyday experiences. Everything that happens to us profoundly affects how our brain develops. The music we hear, the people we love, the books we read, the kind of discipline we receive. And the good news is that we aren't held captive for the rest of our lives by the way our brain works in the present moment. We can actively rewire it so we can become healthier and happier. So as parents, this means that we have the power to influence the neurons that wire in our kids' brain by the experiences that we provide them. And this will determine the structure of their brain in the long term. This book focuses on 5 key areas where parents should actively help their kids integrate parts of their brain. And we will go through them one by one. So let's look at what you can do to build stronger connections between the left and the right brain. The first thing you can do is connect and redirect. When our child is upset, we need to connect first emotionally, right brain to right brain. Then once our child is more in control and receptive, we can then bring the left brain lesson and discipline. Because when a child is upset, logic won't work until we have responded to our child's right brain's emotional needs. The second thing you can do is name it to tame it. When big right brain emotions are raging out of control, we need to help our kids tell the story of what's upsetting them. By doing so, they will use their left brain to make sense of their experience and feel more in control. Sometimes parents avoid talking about upsetting experiences because they think that in doing so, it will reinforce your kids' bad feelings. But in actual fact, telling the story is exactly what your kids need. To make sense of the event, to put things in order, to name those big and scary right brain feelings so they can deal with them effectively. This is what storytelling does. It allows us to understand ourselves and our world by connecting the left and right brain together, so we can see the whole picture and communicate our experience. This is why journaling can be so therapeutic. And it's important to understand that the drive to understand why things happen to us is so strong that our brain will continue to try to do so until it succeeds. So it's important for our kids to get our help with this. Now we can look at 3 strategies that we can use to help strengthen the connections between the upstairs brain and the downstairs brain for our kids. The first thing we can do is to engage, not enrage. In high-stress situations, we need to engage our child's upstairs brain rather than trigger our child's downstairs brain. And we can do that by connecting first and then asking questions, asking for alternatives, making them think about how they can solve their problem. The second thing we can do is called use it or lose it, which means that basically we need to provide our kids with lots of opportunities to exercise their upstairs brain so it becomes integrated with the downstairs brain. For little kids, it can be as simple as giving them a choice by saying, do you want to wear the blue shoes or the white shoes today? And for older kids, the authors are giving us the example of giving them an allowance. The experience between buying a computer game now or saving for that new bike that they want is a great exercise to engage the upstairs brain. And in everyday situations, just ask your kids lots of questions. Questions about how they feel about a certain thing, questions about how they think someone else might be feeling so they can learn empathy. There are so many opportunities in everyday life when you can really model and help them build that strong connection between the upstairs brain and the downstairs brain. The third strategy to use when your child has lost touch with his upstairs brain is movement. Movement actually changes brain chemistry, and it's a very fast and easy way to help your child regain balance. Now, let's take a look at the importance of memories and how we can practice integrating them for our kids. Memories are tricky because they are not just experiences filed away in a filing cabinet exactly as they happened. Whenever you retrieve a memory, you alter it. What you recall may be very close to what actually happened, but the very act of recalling an experience actually changes it, sometimes in significant ways. And this is very important for us to understand because it means that as parents have to help our kids integrate the difficult memories, because they can reappear out of the blue and create behavior issues in the present and future. And very often without your child understanding that this is the cause behind the behavior. So this can look like your child being in a minor accident and you thinking that it wasn't affected that much, but then he starts wetting his bed a few weeks later. Or another child refusing to go to school and displaying a lot of anxiety based on an altercation that he had with his teacher a few weeks ago. When we don't offer a place for our children to express their feelings or to recall what happened after an overwhelming event, their memories remain in disintegrated form, which means that our children won't be able to make sense of what happened to them. By telling the story of past events, our kids can look at what's happened and make good intentional decisions about how to handle those memories. You can help your kids exercise their memory by giving them lots of practice remembering. One thing that my kids love doing is watching videos and pictures of themselves and us as a family on my phone. And they love talking about it, asking how old they were at the time, what we were doing, and asking me to tell them the story behind it. And I know that not all kids want to talk after school about what they've done that day or they can't remember. But one trick that the authors are giving us in the book that I really like is to turn it into a game. You can ask them to tell you 3 things that happened at school and one of them is false. And your job is to guess which one is not true. Now, let's take a look at integrating the many parts of myself. This is where we need to help our kids understand their own minds so they can become self-aware. Teaching them about the wheel of awareness so they can tell the difference between who they are, how they feel, learn to focus their attention, and learn to get back to the hub, to calm and center themselves when their emotions take over. It is essentially teaching them emotional intelligence. Sometimes our kids get stuck on one particular point on their wheel of awareness, and they lose sight of the many other parts of themselves. We need to teach them what the authors call mindsight, so they can be aware of what's happening in their own mind. In doing so, they can choose where they focus their attention, integrating different aspects of themselves and gaining more control over how they feel. There are many things that we parents can do to help our kids with this. And the first thing is to teach them to pay attention to what's going on inside. They need to learn to pay attention to the sensations, images, feelings, and thoughts they have within them. Because they can't understand their inner experience until they understand what's going on inside. The second thing you can do is to teach your kids that feelings come and go. They are temporary and changeable. This helps them put things into perspective. They understand that feelings don't last forever. It will help them regain a calm state more easily and maintain it when painful feelings come along. By teaching kids that they can choose how they feel and think about what happens to them in life, that they aren't victims, that they can use their mind to calm their brain, they will be able to thrive. And again, this teaching takes place in everyday interactions with your kids. So take time to ask your kids how they feel and help them go from vague emotional descriptors like fine or bad to more precise ones like disappointed, anxious, excited, jealous. And in our house, we actually have a wheel of emotions that I've printed off Google and plastered on our wall. One reason that kids often don't express the complexity of a particular emotion is that they haven't yet learned to talk about their feelings in a sophisticated way, where they understand the variety and richness within them. Now, let's take a look at how we can integrate self with others. The brain is a social organ made to be in relationships. Every brain is like a mirror, and it is continually constructed by its interactions with others. So self and community are fundamentally interrelated. So we want to help our kids to understand that they are connected to their family, friends, classmates, and other people in the community. And this connection depends on empathy, on recognizing the feelings, desires, and perspective of others. This is the second part of mindsight. The first part was insight, which was the self-awareness of the brain. And now we are talking about the second part, which is empathy. In addition to developing and integrating their whole brain and the different aspects of themselves, they need to be given lots of practice at understanding other people's perspective, seeing other people's minds. There are two things that we parents can do to help our child integrate self with others. And the first thing is to simply enjoy each other. Build some fun into the family so your child enjoys some positive and satisfying experiences with the people they spend the most time with. The second thing you can do is to connect through conflict, by trying not to view conflict as an obstacle to avoid, but as an opportunity to teach your kids essential relationship skills, like seeing things from other people's perspectives, reading nonverbal cues, and making amends. So there you have it, all the things that we parents can do to help our kids integrate the many parts of their brain. And here is a summary of the book so you can take a screenshot on your phone. And please leave me a like if you've enjoyed this video, and leave me a comment if you have any questions or experiences you'd like to share. Thanks for watching and keep growing!